Windows routing, hey?
Yep.
All right. We'll say no more. It's like what your mother said, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all.
Yeah, that's right.
Welcome to GCP Life, episode number 42 for the 16th of June, 2023. GCP Life is sponsored by Kasna. At Kasna, we make your Google Cloud solutions possible. And I'm your host, Stephen Bancroft. On today's show, Melon Husk is at it again. Will AI be banned? And we take a look at some new GCP features. But before we get to any of that, I'd like to introduce the co-host of the show, Ian Brown. How you going, Ian?
I'm good, Banky. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, good, mate. Good. Nice, short and concise for the intro today. I just did it in one take too.
Yeah, I know. It was awesome.
It's awesome. Must be getting good at this after 42 shows.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how's your week been? What have you been up to?
Mate, it's been an exciting week for me. I apparently turned 45 yesterday.
Oh, I did see that come up. I meant to say happy birthday. I'll just say it here. Happy birthday, mate.
Yeah, thanks, mate. But not a huge amount has happened, really. I mean, it was a little bit of a lion in the morning instead of getting out of bed at 6 like I usually do.
You lied into 6:15.
I literally, it was like 20 past 6 and I was out of bed because I was like, I can't lay here anymore.
No. I'm the same with my lions.
Yep. Yeah, but apart from that, it's just been, we went camping on the weekend,
Nice.
did some more wiring, all the normal stuff that you do before a big trip.
Tell me about it. I spent my long weekend putting a rear bar on the back of my truck. And now, just putting the bar on itself probably would have been okay, but of course, I wanted to modify it.
Yeah.
You can't just put it on as it is, right?
No.
And I wanted to paint it with some Raptor paint. Looks great, right? And I've got this other bar work on my truck as well I wanted to paint as well. And it all looks good now. It all looks shiny and new and everything.
Pretty.
But it's got the old LED lights.
Nice.
Right? Yeah, and they look good now that they work. Let me tell you.
There's a story here. I can feel it coming.
There's a story here. First of all, I had to deal with the abomination of wiring that was hanging out the back. Now, I understand the 12 volt and the wiring and the electrical side of things. That's actually an area I have a bit of an understanding of what's going on, right? And it took me 5 hours to sort out this abomination of wiring that was happening. I think nearly every auto electrician in Sydney had to go at it. That's how it looked. What I cut off it was incredible, and what I put a nice plug on there and cleaned it all up. And now it's great. It's all nice, taped up and cable tied up. It's all good.
Protected from the Gibber Rock in the northern Queensland.
That's right. And then I go to check, and I swear blind that I had it all around the right way, and I get my wife in there to reverse light's good, parker light's good, driving light's good, puts the foot on the brake, all the lights go off. I'm like, that shouldn't happen. Well, actually, specifically, it was the left-hand side. All the lights on the left-hand side were going off, and it'd be buggered if I could figure out what was going on. I thought, all right, I kind of thought I must have broken a wire on that side, in the loom somewhere. So I'd run a wire from the other side across and then put it in. Still didn't work. I put an incandescent lamp on there, one of those tester things.
Yep.
That worked.
Yeah.
Okay, now something screwy is going on. And now, those of you in the know probably already know what's going on. And I knew this already. I just neglected to just put my knowledge to use. Of course, with an incandescent globe, it's not polarized, is it?
Nope.
The current can run in either direction. But if you've played around with your Arduinos and the rest of it, you probably know that LED lights current only goes in one direction because it's
right.
LED.
Yep.
So what had I done? Well, 3 hours later, I figured it out. It dawned on me.
Put the
After I
positive
pulled
into the negative.
everything out and resoldered all the plugs and everything, I had got on the brake light, I'd got the ground and the active for the brake around the wrong way.
Yep. We've all done it.
So what was happening, the other lights were picking up the ground through the brake light circuit, so they were working fine. As soon as you hit the brake, then what should have been the ground would go up to 12 volts, and the reverse light and park light, etc., had 12 volts on both pins. They would go out.
Yep.
And the brake light wouldn't work because the polarization was around the wrong way.
That's awesome.
It just was mind-bending. It just didn't make sense.
You're technically not losing any current anywhere because, you've got 12 volts on both lines.
Yeah, that's right. The potential's the same on both sides, so the lead doesn't light, right? And just that one wiring around the wrong way. And the reason it's not my fault, all right?
That's what everyone says.
I have the service manual for this car, and I was following the wiring diagram colours, but of course, because every auto electrician had to go on it, the wiring colours were completely ballsed up, and I couldn't. Yeah, I just had to test it with a meter and figure out what was going on.
I've got both the Haynes manual for my car, and I've got the Toyota Workshop manual, and both of them have different wiring colours for most of the wiring in my car. And both of them have different colours for the actual wiring that's in my car.
Yeah, you can't rely on it. You got to
test everything.
Test it yourself. Test it, test and test and test and test. But anyway, it's good now. I've driven it around. The rear bar hasn't fallen off, which is good.
Nice. Lots of Loctite on those bolts?
Well, I don't. I got springies on there, but that's a whole nother conversation I think you and I should have later.
Yeah.
I might get some of those star washers or something, but nothing's moved yet.
Red Loctite. Red Loctite is the way to go, I'm told.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes. It hasn't moved yet, but it might do when we hit some tracks. So I'm going to make sure I've got some parts with me to fix that in case it does.
Yeah. And I did a little wiring job on my car on yesterday, actually. I got the new plug for the map sensor arrived. I had to order it off a company online called EFI Solutions. And, just had to pull the plug apart. And I went to take because you've got to stick a little pick down inside the plug to let go of the clamp or the clasp. And as I stand the pick down in there, the entire plug disintegrates in my hand. So I think it was about time to get changed. It's nice and clean now.
That's good. Yeah, these little things like that can just bring you undone when you're in remote areas, so it's good you're catching it now.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, that's enough of my car adventures at the moment, but some of the eagle-eyed among you might have noticed a couple of news articles about Casna and Uni Super on the LinkedIns during the week and on the socials.
Yeah.
This article, I'll link to one of them. There's a few of them going around. The ARN one's the one that I'll link in the show notes, talking about Casna and Uni Super. And now this is a project that I'm on, and I've been the senior cloud engineer on this project, and we're doing I think I can talk about this now because it's all public knowledge. We've been doing a migration from their on-prem VMware into Google Cloud's GCVE.
And it's a first for Australia too, isn't it? Not just GCVE. It's not the GCVE first, but it's a first for Stretch vSAN in Australia. Yeah,
first for Stretch vSAN, Stretch clusters in Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And we've implemented another thing as well. We've ended up doing this HA VPN over interconnect, which is a new thing as well.
Yeah.
So that may well be a first as well. I don't know. But a lot of goal kicking in this thing, and we I think the articles say 60% done. I don't think anyone would have a problem if I said we've got this weekend and the following weekend, and we're done with their non-production environment.
That's awesome.
Completed, right? And it's really only a handful of things that have got to be done.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I think it was I think I saw there in the doco for it that it's also a first for storage only nodes in Australia.
The way they're set up, we've ended up it was really well scoped how many nodes they need. And GCVE is so awesome. Like you can add and remove nodes at will.
Yeah.
Like really, like it was really well scoped, and there was heaps of headroom. And we found about going from their on-prem into GCVE, they did some numbers with testing and, response time and all the rest of it, and CPU performance. It's about 10%. We found there's about a 10% headroom in the numbers. So
right,
yeah, they ended up with heaps of headroom.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. And I don't think anyone will mind me saying either that we are ramping up the prod build. It's just about complete, and stay tuned. There'll probably be a big announcement when that's done, and it'll be completed as well.
Yeah,
in
awesome.
The next few months, yeah.
Yeah, it's a huge project for certainly for Kasna, but also for Google in Australia.
Oh yes, very high profile project, and I have to say, from a personal level, there have been moments. There have really been moments.
There always is.
Like, you question yourself and you wonder if you can do it, and you go back and read documentation, and there's a couple of tough nights sleeping there. But the team's been really good. I mean, the Uni Super guys are bang on. They know their stuff. They know their environment really well. And the Kasna guys have. Couple of them in particular have really sort of grabbed the bull by the horns and just run with it. And it's been the experience has really shown that if people find their niche, what I've really known is people have been able to find their niche and move out into it, and they've become sort of like the go-to person in the project for that piece of the area.
Yes, yeah, right?
It's so big, you can't be across all of it.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that was a bit of a shock to some of us actually when we first got onto it. Like, guys, we can't understand the whole thing, right? You just go and focus on your bit and get that bit right.
Yeah.
And that's really, really been a real good asset to be able to do that. And
I think that's the same thing that we did when you and I and Dave were on the Diane Durham project. We sort of all helped out a little bit in each other's areas, but you were very much the networking. Making sure the networking was working. Dave was very much the VMware, and I was sort of like the in between that knows a little bit of both.
Oh, you're the Windows guy, mate. The .NET guy.
No, not likely.
Don't call me that, he says.
I object, Your Honour. But I mean, I've gone back. I'm helping out a client at the moment getting their DR strategy up and running in GCVE, and. Mm-hmm. Just some of the weird stuff that's changed since we left that environment. Like we set up a Bastion host to test DR in a bubble, and some Windows update has rendered the interface metrics redundant.
Yeah.
So now we can't automatically prefer the routes from the bubble. It's just because Windows can't get to those routes. It's like, oh no, we'll take the other ones.
Yeah. I want to use these ones instead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Windows routing. Don't get me started.
Yep.
So yeah, I think I've heard there might be a couple more stories coming out about that. So just keep your eyes on the socials for that. I didn't want to spend too much on this, but those stupid AR goggles.
Oh. Apple, you've done it again. I mean, I just looked at it. I was like, it's $3,500 for a set of AR goggles. Have they not heard of Google Cardboard?
I don't know.
I mean, and the various other devices that are out there that are far less than that.
I'm going to say it. It's 3D television.
Yeah.
It's 3D television.
What was that? I saw a meme going around the other day. It was like, when we were kids, you would have been told it the same as I, don't sit too close to the TV, it'll ruin your eyes. And now we've got TVs on our eyes.
That's right. I just can't see it getting off the ground. Honestly, I cannot see it getting off the ground. At $3,500, who's going to sit there with that on their face potentially all day? Not only that, with a tether for a battery as well. Yeah, sure, you get this interface. I mean, what it looks like iOS. It looks like iOS, doesn't it? Where you can do your hand gestures and all the rest of it. That's the other thing. Who wants to wave their hands around? Right? It looks great on a movie. look at my little skinny arms. I'm not going to be able to hold my arms up all day, waving my hands around, control my phone.
Until you're walking down Main Street in Sydney and you clout someone on the side of the road and you start a brawl.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous to think anyone's going to do that. Don't get me started. The other thing I don't like either is the idea of transparent phones. Whoever thinks that's a good idea, you've got to have yourself checked in somewhere, because that if you set transparent, even on a terminal window, if you put transparency on it and you can see through to the background, it is so distracting and it's annoying, and it just takes away from the text and the experience of actually doing your work or whatever.
Yeah.
The transparent phone is going to be the same thing. Oh, and foldable phones. Foldable phones, don't get me started on foldable phones. How are you going to put a foldable phone in your pocket? Right?
Well,
you put it in your pocket and you sit down, and what happens? It all gets jingled. What happens when you put a $5 note in your pocket? That's how your phone's going to look, right?
Yeah, exactly. I had a bit of a laugh because like the Pixel 7a has come out, and they've got a foldable phone coming out as well. And I looked at it and went, I never liked I didn't like the Motorola when they were a foldable phone.
No.
Like the old Motorola StarTAC, didn't like it. The Motorola Razr, didn't like it.
No.
Like back then it was...
It's just the fold is just prone to breaking, right? Or even the flexible ones. Sorry, that's probably what I was referring to more, the flexible ones. The flexible thing, right? That's all going to get munched up and crunched up as well. And I don't like foldable ones either.
Yeah, it's like I look at it and go, this is an entirely different thing. I understand like TVs that you can stick on the wall, like not stick it on a bracket, but you can actually double-sided tape TVs on the wall these days. There's like super thin ones that are just a flexible panel. You stick it on the wall, it's done.
Yep.
But this isn't a TV, people. This is a phone.
No, you put it in your pocket. You drop it on the floor.
Yeah.
It gets stepped on by the dog, right?
Yeah.
Like there needs to be some sort of durability to it, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't know how we got onto that. I guess it's my hate of technology for the sake of technology, right?
Yeah.
I
liken it to push button starts in cars, solving a problem that wasn't there to begin with.
Yeah, you're right. What's wrong with it's?
Keys were there for a reason.
Although my Patrol Hub does have a funny problem. If you put the key in one way, you can't turn the barrel. If you take it out and turn it around the other way, then you can turn the barrel.
Must be a Nissan thing.
I never got to the bottom of it.
Land Cruiser doesn't have that problem.
No, you just hotwire a Land Cruiser and you're all good.
Nah, you're good.
Should we get on with the rest of the show?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let's get on with the news items. Our friend Melon Husk, otherwise known as Elon, he's at it again.
Oh,
Melon Husk, I love it.
Husk. That's my young fella calls him Melon Husk. Every time he does something dumb like the whole Twitter thing and laying off half of Twitter and all the rest of it, and my young fella's come out and he's like, Melon Husk has done it. It's a dumpster fire. And I'm like, what?
Article on Business Insider, Twitter has stopped paying its Google Cloud bills, promoting concerns about what will happen to some of the services it hosts there, a report says. It's not only the Google Cloud bills, there's been a bunch of bills that he hasn't paid, and the allegations range from unpaid invoices to marketing companies for branded merchandise to rent for Twitter offices. So he's taken the sword to a lot of things in Twitter since he's been there. We heard he sacked half the engineers. Then there was a second round of layoffs. He's cut back on free food for staff. Oh, boo-hoo.
Yeah.
And auctioned off a bunch of Twitter merchandise. And now apparently he's not paying his bills.
Well, the thing I find a little bit concerning about this is the tool that they're running, or one of the tools they're running in GCP is Smite, which is a company that Twitter acquired in 2018, but it's there to remove bad actors, essentially, out of the platform. It's a harassment, abuse, and spam detection tool. And that's one of the ones that's getting hosted on Google Cloud. And there's this article reports that it is set to be shut down at the end of the month. So does that now mean that you can jump onto Twitter and just harass whoever you want?
It would seem so.
It does look that way.
If Smite's not running.
Yeah.
It's going to turn into the Wild West.
Well, I mean, arguably it already is. But I like the links to there. Like, yes, he owes marketing companies large amounts of money, and he owes his landlord large amounts of money, and they both started lawsuits against him. So, yeah, how long Twitter lasts, I don't know.
Don't know. This article does say they previously reported that Twitter has been trying to renegotiate its Google contract for months, in which the social media giant had committed to spending $1 billion over 5 years. So I don't know if it's as cut and dry as Elon just saying, no, we're not going to pay it anymore. I suspect, just reading between the lines there, that there may be some problem in the negotiation and some deadline has passed or something.
Yeah, possibly. But I mean, that's not a huge amount of money when you look at the size of Twitter. It's $200 million a year in cloud costs, which is not I wouldn't think, an overly large amount of money for running an infrastructure that Twitter requires.
True.
But only time will tell. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. But could be the beginning of the end, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I said that 6 months ago. I'm just waiting for that 6 months to come up.
I mean, what would happen if Twitter disappeared? Would it be a big deal? Or everyone would just go somewhere, something else would rise up, right?
Well, Mastodon has already risen up, but Mastodon's a little bit harder to use than Twitter is for the average person. So
yeah.
I use it. I don't really use it these days. I'm not sort of on it all the time. Yeah. But there's others out there, and apparently the guys that started Twitter have started another one called Blue Sky, I think it is.
Right.
So you've got to get an invite to that one, though.
All right. Well, remains to be seen what happens there, but we'll just move on, and we've heard enough from Elon for the moment. We'll move on. Story that came by me is that millions of PC motherboards were sold with a backdoor installed.
It's a bit scary, isn't it? Or at least the title sounds a bit scary.
Yeah, Gigabyte systems have been identified by Eclypsium platforms for exhibiting suspicious backdoor-like behaviour.
Now, the interesting bit I found about this, reading through this article, was it only appears to affect Windows machines.
That is interesting, yes.
Sad, really. Not that because I don't run Windows. But it's part of the UEFI firmware booting process that it loads this binary into the firmware. And it's a Windows native binary executable that it loads in. And that's subsequently executed by the Windows Session Manager subsystem. And then
it goes off to this App Center download install feature.
Yeah.
It checks if it's enabled in the BIOS.
Yeah, and then the .NET-based Windows executable is deployed, retrieves, and executes a separate executable payload.
Yeah, downloads something. Now, reading this article, that in itself didn't seem to be what their main problem was. Their main problem later on is they're talking about man-in-the-middle attacks, and the fact that this download thing doesn't validate the certificate.
That's right.
And it opens it up for a man-in-the-middle attack.
Yeah, it does.
It's basically doing a no-check certificate.
That's right, yeah. So you sort of, yes, okay, we're using HTTPS, great, but we're not validating that we're actually using HTTPS or the real HTTPS.
As not checking that, yeah. I'd kind of be more worried about your BIOS trying to run something.
Yeah. Yeah, I read that and was like, okay, well, it doesn't affect me, so, oh well. But
yeah, it doesn't affect me because I use ASUS motherboards.
Yes.
I've always used ASUS motherboards.
But also I look at it and go, rightio, my young fella's got a Gigabyte motherboard in his gaming computer. It's not reasonably new though, so it sort of shouldn't affect him. But it's one to look at it and see if we can, I'm going to download the firmware for it tonight and actually have a look at it and see if I can find that binary file in there.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a hard one to defeat either. If you had it on a private network and you had restricted access to the internet, or you're using a proxy or something that was the only way to get to the internet, then this would be pointless. It wouldn't be able to go off and do its little download or whatever it's trying to do.
Yeah, but I think the main one that concerns me about it is that it opens up the opportunity for manufacturers to put backdoors into systems and allows OEMs too. If you're a builder, a PC builder of some description, you can build machines. You can utilize this this little backdoor and start loading your own firmware in, regardless of what operating system the computer's got, assuming that you can get it to run on all operating systems.
Yeah, you need some bit of trickery there to get it to run to detect. I suppose you could detect the operating system.
Yep.
Temple OS, perhaps. Maybe. I wonder how it would go with that.
SCO Unix. Let's load SCO up.
No, you do know about Temple OS, right?
No, I've never seen Temple OS. What is it?
Temple OS is a biblically themed, lightweight operating system designed by the third temple prophesied in the Bible. It was created by American programmer Terry A. Davis.
Right.
And it is crazy, to say the least.
Yeah, no, it definitely looks crazy. Yeah, for those that are listening, go and look that one up.
Temple OS, yep. If you've not heard of that, I'm showing my age now, but anyway, it's been around for a while.
I'd never heard of that one. No.
Yeah, I know about it specifically because Linus Tech Tips did a video on it back in July 2020.
Oh, okay.
So go and look that one up as well.
I'll have to have a look at that.
Temple OS is very funny.
Yep.
So if you're using Gigabyte, I'd just be a little cautious of that one, and maybe I'd say, as people do homebrew BIOSes and stuff, hacked BIOSes, maybe try and get one that's been with that patched out. That's what I'd be looking for.
Definitely.
All right, let's move on. We've got a couple of Google Cloud features. Now I really like this. This was announcing cross-cloud interconnect, seamless connectivity to all your clouds.
Yeah, this one's really cool. This is Google coming out and saying, we want you to be cross-cloud capable.
Hybrid multi-cloud.
Multi-cloud. And here's how we're going to make that journey for you so much simpler. They've got Anthos now, and now that with this announcement of cross-cloud interconnects, you can connect to, and it's not just the AWS and the Azure connections, but it also does Oracle Cloud and Alibaba Cloud.
Yeah, so what it is, when you go into hybrid connectivity, in the past, you've just had two options there. You've just had dedicated interconnect or partner interconnect.
Yep.
Now, project I was just on, we set up a partner interconnect, and that was with Telstra Private Networking. There's usually some partner like that. All good. Now you've got this third option, which is this cross-cloud interconnect, and allows you to commission a link directly from Google Cloud to any of the big cloud providers. And as you just said there, to Amazon Web Services, Azure, Oracle Cloud, or Alibaba. Yep. And no third party involved, straight to them.
Yeah, and that's just really cool.
Awesome. Yeah.
So I think it's the idea of cutting down the reliance on having multiple connections to multiple different providers. You can have one set of connections that goes into Google, and then you can use Google to create connections into all the rest.
You could do that, I guess.
Yeah.
Use them as a hub. Yeah.
And then that also gives you the ability to deploy your app to GCE, for instance, and then go, no, we're going to put it in AWS as well, and so that way you've got hybrid multi-cloud ability straight off the bat.
Yeah. You might want to use GCVE in Google Cloud because that's better.
Yep.
But all your AD might be in Azure.
That's right.
So,
yeah. Or your VDIs might be in Azure if you're using the Azure workstations. That's them.
Azure Workstation. Yeah. I also read another article that's going to come up. Oracle apparently has just signed some big deal with NVIDIA. And they're going to have a big AI NVIDIA ML farm. So who knows where that's going to go, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, I really like the simplicity of that. I was really excited to see the way it was implemented in the console. Just, okay, just done there. And then you get an email and you go back to Azure and you plug the stuff in there. Then you send them, you reply to the email with your letter of authentication, and they cook it up. Done.
Yep. Yeah, fantastic. I love that.
And this came along with another feature, which was hybrid connectivity to SaaS with Private Service Connect. Now, I think we talked about this before, but this is GA now, right?
Yes. Yeah, we talked about this. It was public preview, I think, at that point, but it is now GA.
Right, and then just to refresh again, what this means is you can route to a Private Service Connect endpoint via your Cloud Interconnect.
Yes. So you can access managed services directly from your on-premise environment over Cloud VPN or over the Interconnect.
Over the Interconnect, which would include a cross-connect now.
That's right.
Oh, that makes things easy. All we need to do is put a packet inspection point in there somewhere and it'll solve a lot of problems.
Deploy some Palo Altos right on the end of the Interconnect.
No, we won't do that. Let's not get silly. Couple of great new features there. I can't wait to. I'm just looking here with the features that are enabled with this MACsec for Cloud Interconnect. Now, a lot of banks would probably want that.
Yep.
In preview until the third quarter 2023, provides point-to-point line rate level 2 encryption. Nice. HA VPN over Interconnect is supported. I can tell you all about that one. That's IPsec. Connectivity with an encrypted VLAN attachment. 9K MTU.
Yeah, so now
you could run iSCSI over this. You could do iSCSI over this. Yeah. Now that opens up a couple of interesting things there. Wow,
it does. Yeah, that's really good because now also you can do the storage. What's the extra storage that you can attach into GCVE?
That's right. Yeah, the NFS, not cloud storage.
EMC makes it. EMC makes
the
it.
EMC storage. That's the SAN storage. Yeah. That's very cool because you get it in a 10 gig or that's what the other thing that I haven't mentioned. You get a 10 gig or 100 gig.
That's right.
Now, if you're running 100 gig with a 9K MTU, boom.
Yep.
You can run a SAN over that.
Well, even if you're running 10 gig, we've all run SANs over 10 gig before.
Yep.
We've run SANs over 1 gig before.
Over 1 gig. I've got a SAN going here over 1 gig. But they do say, line speed and low latency. So, could run great. And BFD is now generally available, which is good because I've had a few clients ask me about BFD. Do you want to? Can you support that? That's for high speed link failure detection.
Yep.
And a bunch of BGP enhancements.
Yeah.
Custom learn routes, increased prefix scale. Non-link local address are currently in preview. Now, you know what I really like them to support? I'd like to have more than 200 prefixes in a cloud router. That'd be really good.
That'd be nice.
If I could request a feature, that's the one I want.
I think the one thing that I know with the BFD, you've got to be on data plane V2.
We're getting. I think we're good here. I've checked
that's
a few
all
of them
done now.
Yeah.
But like a month ago, it wasn't
global just yet.
So prolific in Australia.
And that's pretty easy to check too. You can go
that's right.
A G-Cloud compute routers describe, something like that. It'll tell you if it's data plane V2.
VLAN attachments describe. The VLAN attachments will tell you.
It's in the VLAN attachments, yeah. Okay. Yep. Yeah, cool. And another networky new feature as well, announcing GA of Cloud Firewall threat intelligence and geolocation features.
Yeah, so this was preview a little while ago, and it is super awesome set of features enabled there to allow you to do name-based firewalling. So you can firewall to specific domain names. You can
yeah. Well, that's yeah. There's caveats around that.
There
Yeah,
are, yes.
Yeah.
And the threat intelligence for firewall is phenomenal because obviously it's Google is a big contributor to all the big threat intelligence models that are out there.
Yeah.
And so you're getting that built into Cloud Firewall Standard and geolocation. So you can filter traffic based on where that traffic is coming from or going to.
Yeah, and it's not, from what I read, it's not just using like an IP range, because now with BYO IP, it's getting all jumbled up, right? So it'll know where you are despite your IP address.
Yeah, that's right. So another really good advancement in Cloud Firewall to make it really and truly an enterprise grade firewall solution for businesses moving into GCP.
Yeah. Plus, you also get address groups and local IP ranges.
Yes.
Handy as well. Yeah. And if you're looking for this, it's part of the firewall policies now. It's not.
Yes.
It's not the VPC firewall. It's part of the firewall policies. You go in there and you'll see a couple of new fields in there.
Yep. Firewall policies are different from firewall rules.
Much more flexible though. You can add them in multiple locations. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And you can tier them too, which is, as I think, the best part of GCP is that whole tiering. So you can have firewall policies applied at different layers within your folder structure, and you get a much more enhanced experience.
Yeah, so it's like you set it here, and then it's in place.
Yeah.
In all these other,
yeah.
You got the confidence that all of these other folders and projects are going to inherit that, and they've got the same policies.
Yeah, that's right. So if you don't want specific, let's say a geolocation one, if you don't want specific countries to come in to your production environment, you put a geolocation policy on your production folder in GCP, and all projects that sit underneath that folder have that rule applied.
That's an excellent use case, actually. Yeah. I really like that one. All right, then. Shall we move on? Let's move on here. Yeah. We're going to get on the AO Wars later, but an article came across my desk that talks about that comes from the Cloud Wars. Now, I'd never heard of these guys. Apparently, Cloud Wars, the world's top cloud vendors, Cloud Wars ranking. The Cloud Wars ranking of the 10 most influential cloud vendors in the world.
Yeah.
We adjust the rankings regularly, so check back for fresh insights and updates. And we've got a list of 10 there. We haven't done a list for a while on the show, have we? But I'm not going to go through them all. But we've got a couple here that are interesting. One's that Oracle comes in at number 4. That actually surprised me that they're in that position. Amazon number 3.
Yep.
Right? And who comes in at number 2? Google Cloud, number 2.
Yeah.
Now look at the revenue. Look at the revenue here, right? We're talking Oracle, $4.1 billion.
Yep.
Amazon, $21.4 billion, massive, right? And here we are kicking along. Google Cloud, $7.5 billion, and of course the number one spot, Microsoft.
Yeah.
Azure, $28.5 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're huge, and they're incumbent because like they are the top spot because you've got all these businesses that are using Microsoft products, and it for them they just go, oh, well, it makes sense to move to Microsoft Cloud.
Yep, and it's infuriating.
Yes.
It is honestly infuriating.
Oh, it's like stepping back in time.
Yeah. We just want to carry on the way we've been carrying on for the last 30 odd years, and that's just the way it worked. That's what you do, isn't it? No, there's better. There's much better.
It's interesting though that Google has stepped on top of Amazon for the number 2 spot. I love that.
Now let's talk about that because that's what really drew my attention to this. Like I would say, prior to the pandemic, even 12 months ago, Amazon would have been the number 1 spot.
Yeah, 100%.
Right? And so what's actually happened is Microsoft hasn't gone up. We haven't gone up. Amazon's gone down.
Yeah.
Amazon has gone from the number 1 spot to the number 3 spot. That's what's happened there, if you look at that.
Yeah. But I wonder why. I wonder whether that's because people are starting to realize that Amazon has got just too many services and it's super complex and all the rest of it, and the bill shock that you get because you forgot to turn off some VM that's been running for the last 3 days and it's just cost you $10,000. Or
how did you become homeless?
Yeah.
I left an EC2 instance on.
That's it. Or whether it's just because the other cloud providers are becoming more innovative. I'd like to think that the latter is true, that Google and Microsoft are becoming more innovative, and Amazon is sort of sticking to the path, the path that they've been treading for years.
Everyone's getting a bit tired of Amazon, maybe.
Maybe.
The novelty's worn off. And let's talk about this for a sec. Oracle at number 4. I mean, there's not much choice after the 3 we've talked about, but you got to watch out for these guys, right? I know we bagged them in the past, but how long before they're in the number 3 spot? Now, if that happens, you got to watch out.
Oh, 100%. Oracle have got a quite the business plan in place there to become the premier cloud, to the point
What's
where
their need?
you can spin up the equivalent of a compute engine instance in Oracle for nothing. Cost you nothing.
It's a freebie.
It's a freebie all year. You can run that thing 24/7, 365 days a year, and there's certain instance types that you can run, but they give them to you for nothing.
Right. That's to get you hooked.
That is.
That's what's
100%
all about. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it seems to be working.
It is.
You know, what's their niche going to be though? What's going to be their Spark in the cloud? I mean, are they offering that? That has to be their niche, right?
Well, no, I don't believe they're offering Spark in the cloud at all. But I think their niche, as we'll reveal in the next article, is all about AI ML.
So let's move on to that. That's an excellent segue there, Ian. You're becoming a professional broadcaster here. Oracle Cloud revenue up 54% in the fourth quarter, and this is what's got them to that spot, and this is what we've got to watch out for them. Oracle topped the fourth quarter revenue estimates and forecasts an upbeat first quarter driven by growing demand for its cloud offering from companies deploying AI.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's a quote here from Larry Ellison saying, who, for those who don't know, is the CEO of Oracle, saying companies doing large language model development such as Mosaic ML, Adept AI, Cohere, plus 30 other AI development companies have recently signed contracts to purchase more than $2 billion US of capacity in Oracle's Gen 2 cloud. So their analysts are putting this all down to Oracle's partnership with NVIDIA. And them just stealing everybody's thunder and jumping in as the number one AI cloud.
Wow, it's a forecast.
Yeah.
We're looking into the crystal ball here. So this article does say NVIDIA to make the chip company's AI software and chips available to Oracle customers via its cloud services. Now, what form is that going to take? Because we've already got that, right? We've got GPUs and TPUs, all the rest of it. We just, last episode, we talked about the,
NVIDIA's new Grace super chip.
Yeah, that's right. So we've got that on Google. So what's going to be the difference here? I don't know.
No. Again, it's one of those things that the stuff I've seen out of Oracle, I've always bagged them. But what they're doing in the cloud is actually quite good in being able to give people who want to play with the cloud an instance to play with, and then luring them into trying other stuff. And getting them hooked on Oracle Cloud.
Anyway, let's move on. From the security stable, Google now offering $1 million in crypto mining attack protection.
Yeah, so we've got two articles that mention this. I'm actually looking at the blog on Google's on cloud.google.com. And so this only applies to customers that are using Security Command Center Premium.
Yep.
But the report that they've got that they mention in here, this Google Cybersecurity Action Team, September 2022 Threat Horizons report revealed that 65% of compromised cloud accounts experienced crypto mining.
Yeah, and I think we reported on this time last year when the Threat Horizons came out, and we were flummoxed, we were flabbergasted by the fact that that's the biggest problem now.
Yeah,
right. So yeah, as you say, Ian, you have to be a Command Center Premium user, and you have to follow the program terms and conditions.
Yes,
including crypto mining detection best practice. In order to be eligible.
Yeah.
I imagine there's a few other things as well. There's a link there in the blog about it.
And look, Security Command Center Premium is not exactly a cheap service. However, from my experience of it, it is phenomenal. Like, it detects changes in your environment instantaneously. So if you
open up it's agentless as well, isn't it? It's doing it in the hypervisor.
Yeah. So if you open up a firewall rule that it considers not in the best practice, it'll flag it. By the time you've gone back to that tab in Chrome, it's already flagged. It literally takes that long.
You mean I can't put a SSH source any?
No, you cannot.
Because I always put that when I'm setting up a production box, so people can get into it.
But I think this is a really good step from Google. The $1 million only covers compute expenses, so it's not just you get $1 million if you have cryptocurrency mining in your account.
So they'll cover your bill up to $1 million.
Up to $1 million.
That's the way I read it.
Yep.
Yeah. That'd be a pretty big compromise to spend $1 million on compute.
Well, not really. You think of some of those instance types are sort of $10 and $20 an hour.
Yeah, if they get into your project and start spinning random stuff up, then yeah, they could do that. But if you've got microservices architecture and you're running smaller instances, then probably you should really have some quotas in place to prevent it sort of blowing out of control. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and upper limits on your managed instance groups. It would depend on the nature of their hack, right? Like at what level they were in. Like I said, if they got in at the project level, then they could spin up whatever they liked, permitting, within the quotas, assuming that there were quotas set, right?
Yeah.
Or policies set, but if they got in at the org level,
they could do a
lot more damage, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because they just spin up projects left, right, and center.
Yeah. But if they just got on the one machine, it's just one machine.
Yeah, that's right.
Or maybe there could be some sort of supply chain attack and they got into the image and they put a crypto mining agent on the image, and then as it spun new ones up, it just depends on the nature of what the attack was.
That's right. And that's not unheard of either. There's been plenty of attacks like that in supply chains before.
Yep, because here's the thing: the whole supply chain may not be in Google Cloud.
That's right.
Right, that could be on-prem or it could be in GitHub or something, and then everything's being built out from there. And before you know it, it's running on Google Cloud Compute resources.
Well, you only have to look at Arch Linux had that not that long ago. The Arch user repository had malware in it. In some place, and I can't remember the exact details, but there was malware in the AUR, and if you installed a package from AUR, it downloaded the malware. So
easy as that.
Simple as.
Yeah. Yep. And let's not talk about how PPAs can be compromised just like that as well.
Yeah.
Just as easily.
It's just as simple.
Just as simple. All right, should we get on with the AI wars?
Let's do it. AI wars.
All right, kicking off AI wars this week, and I've seen a few people on LinkedIn with this one. Google Cloud now offering free AI courses.
Yeah. So they've got a skills boost learning path. So the learning path is different from just a generic sort of let's teach you how to use compute engine type course. The learning path will actually teach you the whole generative AI pathway, so you can learn a whole heap more than just how to use like Vertex AI or Google's language generation.
Yeah, it's actually teaching you AI fundamentals, right? So there's an introduction to generative AI, intro to large language models, which we've talked about a lot on the show, intro to responsible AI, and then, fundamentals, image generation. It's quite comprehensive. There's a lot in here.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. I really want to do it and learn a bit more about AI because it's not really my bread and butter.
But you need to know.
Yeah.
You need to know. It's like when writable CDs first came out, right? I knew it was a thing you can write to a CD, right?
You can burn it.
And I had to know. I had to know how this worked. And of course, it was early days of the internet. This stuff wasn't that easy to find. This information wasn't that easy to find.
There was no such thing as Wikipedia back then.
No, that's right. And I don't know, somehow I found some article somewhere and, just learned about how writable CDs work.
I remember my first one.
Polarization of light. But,
I remember.
It's the same thing here, right? You've got to know.
Yeah, that's right. My first CDR was actually a SCSI-driven one. I had a card that I had to put into the board and then, there's SCSI cable going in the back of the CDR. Yep.
2 times or 1 time?
No, it was one time.
Speed writing one time. And you can't stop it. Nope. You could not interrupt that thing. Otherwise, bin goes in the CD goes in the bin.
It binned more CDs than it actually created, to be honest.
Yes. Oh, boy. I remember those days. It was infuriating. But anyway, back to AI. This is great. I think everyone should go and have a crack at this and run through this. I mean, what are we talking? They're saying, look, this Cloud Skills Boost, it says 1 day, but you could get through it in. I listened to it on like 2 times speed. You get through it in a couple of hours. Let me go into one here. We've got any labs? If there's no, because you always get held up on the labs, right?
Yeah.
No, look, 1 day, it says it's a 1-day course. There's 1 video, 1 document, and a quiz, right? So it's maybe
2 hours worth of stuff if you're doing it if you're taking your time.
Yeah. And then intro to large language models, same thing. 1 video, 1 document, and a quiz. I reckon you could probably actually get through all this in a day.
Yeah, I think so.
Looking at what they're giving you here, because the ones I'm doing, there'll be, probably like 30 or 40 videos and 10 quizzes and labs, 6, 7, 8 labs in it. That takes you a couple of days to get through, right?
Like the network engineer one. Wow,
the network engineer. Sure, you're doing that now.
Yeah, I'm doing that now, and wow.
But my hot tip with this is if you're doing these Cloud Skills Boost, you can do the quests if you want. I found I didn't have to. The stuff in the labs is really comprehensive and enough. So just get through the courseware and you'll be good.
Yeah,
you'll be good if you sit in the exam.
That's it.
All right, moving on. Meta, late to the party. Zuckerberg, AI will be built out in all of Meta's products.
Yeah, so this is
yawn.
but I mean, yes, okay. This article's a bit late to the party, but you've got to have a look at the open source AI that we were talking about in the last episode. That was Meta's large language model. Released.
That's the irony in this.
So I love this. I love the sort of narration in this article. Meta's decision to focus on AI tools follows in the footsteps of its competitors, including Google, Microsoft, and Snapchat, who have received significant investor attention for their generative AI products, making it sound like he's doing it only for money, because he's never been known for that. Unlike the aforementioned rivals, Meta is yet to release any consumer-facing generative AI products. To address this gap, Meta has been reorganizing its AI divisions and investing heavily in infrastructure to support its AI product needs.
What am I thinking here? I'm thinking, great. So's everyone else.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm looking at this going, okay, cool. So you've seen that it's working for Microsoft and you've seen it's working for Google and Snapchat and all the rest of the people who've playing with generative AI. And now you want to do it? Why weren't you doing it 6 months ago, or 12 months ago, or 2 years ago when it was
the metaverse?
Yeah.
Because the metaverse was the all important, right?
That's right.
They should go back and team up with Apple and their silly goggles, right? And that's how you do it.
we can have a silly metaverse in silly goggles.
Actually, where's Apple with all this AI hubbub? We haven't heard much from them.
No, I haven't heard anything about them.
They're focusing on AR. Don't get me. Yeah, let's not go there. But Meta is also exploring open source models, allowing users to build their own AI-powered chatbots and technologies. We're already there.
Yeah, that's right.
Like we're doing that now. However, critics and competitors have raised concerns about the potential misuse of these toys, and we'll get onto that in a minute with the next two items.
Yep.
As they can be utilised to spread information and hate speech on larger scales.
Well, that's all right. They can go to Twitter because Smite's not there now, so they can spread the hate speech there.
Exactly. Are we already able to do that? Can't we already spread misuse and hate speech on large scales?
I mean, you've just got to have a look at Facebook. It's the biggest source of misinformation on the internet. So I don't know what they intend to achieve here. They're very late to the party. Very, very late. And I think maybe they were reeling a little bit from the leak of their large language model to the open source community and then how fast the open source community has taken that and turned it into an actual usable general purpose generative AI. Yeah,
on relatively lightweight compute.
Yeah, that's right.
You don't need the big behemoths that you would have to originally make their Llama model. But the irony is not lost on me.
No.
The fact that they're going back to open source. But just touching on that, using AI in a safe way. The next sort of two articles, Australia opens public consultation on banning high-risk AI tools, and the UK will host a global AI summit to address potential risks. Now, this first one about the Australian AI, I don't know if you had to read to that, Ian. I just snuck it in at the last minute. But the Australian government has launched an 8-week consultation into the potential risk and benefit of the widespread use of artificial intelligence. Take another quote here. Rogue use of technology could be seen in the meteoric rise of AI-generated fake news, deep fake, and AI chatbots encouraging suicide.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Now, that's not cool. But here's the thing. We're already there, right? They're doing some sort of 8-week investigation. And later on in the article, it says even if they have some outcomes from this investigation, it could still take 2 years. Oh, sorry, that was the UK one. I mean, the Australian government would be
10
just
years.
As slow anyway. 10 years, yeah. Sorry, guys, we're already there. Yeah. We're already seeing fake news and deep fake. What about the pictures of the Pope that were going around where he's breakdancing and stuff like that? I don't know if you saw those, right? And there was the ones with Trump being arrested, right? They actually got into the media cycle before they realized that they were fakes.
Yeah, that's right.
We're there, guys, and you just you're late to the party.
Yeah, so the Ed Husick is the Minister for Industry and Science.
Yep.
And he's quoted here as saying, using AI safely and responsibly is a balancing act the whole world is grappling with at the moment. Which, look, I agree to an extent that, yes, we're trying to determine the extent of which AI can cause harm generally within the population. But I think realistically, the ship sailed. You're way too late here to be trying to legislate against it or anything like that because it's there.
The technology's out there.
And I mean, later on in this article, it's like the Australian government has since sunk $41 million out of its recent budget for developing AI technologies in the country via its National AI Centre. To promote the ethical adoption of AI, the government launched a Responsible AI Adopt program specifically targeted at SMEs in the country. So I sort of read this as, oh, look, we're really scared with all the hubbub that's going on in the news because news agencies have never really blown things out of proportion ever before.
No.
And now we think we need to put some legislation in place so that, you can't create an AI that is convincing people to do bad things.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the stem cell research hubbub.
Oh.
Right? Now, right? So...
Yep.
You see what I'm saying, right?
I remember that.
The outcome of stem cell research, the potential is huge.
Oh, it's massive.
With what we can do with it, right? But the knee-jerk reaction is to ban it.
Oh.
Right? And there are countries that did ban it and countries that didn't ban it, right? And that research is going to happen anyway,
yep.
Right? Even if there's some sort of global ban, you're still going to have the open source guys still working away in there. And in fact, then it will become underground, right? It'll become clandestine then.
Yep.
And you'll end up with these people running these chatbots, and there'll be no laws for them,
no.
Right? They'll just run some chatbot that'll ring people up, and you've got these scamming call centers that ring people up. How long before that's all replaced by some AI, right? That's been hacked, right? And it's running in some hacked cloud account, and it's just ringing people up, and you don't even need to employ people to do that.
No, that's right.
Right.
I mean,
right.
That's likely what's happening already with some of the call centers. I mean, you and I, we both get a whole heap of scam calls on a daily basis. Thankfully, now that I've got a Pixel, I can call screen them, and that
call screen them.
Tends to have sort of slowed right down now, but it's not that far from happening.
You make it illegal, right? And there's plenty of other illegal activities that go on computers that are legislated against, but they still go on, right? The whole scamming thing we talked about just then, pirating movies and games, the rest of it, right? All of that's legislated against, but plus other things, which I'm not going to mention on the show, but it goes on, right? It still happens.
I find it interesting in this article that they mentioned here Italy is moving closer towards banning the technology over privacy, job security, and intellectual property concerns, while the EU scrambles for new guiding regulations. So, I read that as Italy is very concerned that AI is going to replace a whole heap of jobs that they don't really want to happen. I'm sorry, but I see AI very much as the new version of computers. I've said this before. AI is the new computers. Back in the 80s and 90s when computers became mainstream, they replaced a whole heap of typist jobs and a whole heap of manual data entry jobs, but created a whole other industry. So I think countries need to sort of get on top of it and stop being scared by the out of proportions media reports and start embracing the technology that is out there. And yes,
because
use it responsibly. Yeah,
but don't shoot yourself in the foot, which is what Italy is proposing to do.
That's
here.
right.
Right, Italy is moving closer towards banning the technology. You're shooting yourself in your foot.
That's right.
You're just sending yourself backwards into the dark ages because there's going to be other countries that are just going to be way ahead of you with this.
That's right.
You know who? If you want to get some good info on this, you should listen to the AI Australia podcast, the other Mantle Group podcast, because this is exactly what they talk about.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to sign up for that.
Ethics in AI.
Yeah, nice.
That's right. And on the same sort of vein, UK will host a global AI summit to address potential risks in AI.
Yeah.
The UK government believes that the country is a natural place to lead discussions due to hosting Europe's largest AI industry, which is only behind the US and China on the world stage.
So again, I think much the same sort of narrative and much the same sort of effort. They actually quote in here, AI has incredible potential to transform our lives for the better, but we need to make sure it's developed and used in a way that is safe and secure. No one country can do this alone. This is going to take a global effort, but with our vast expertise and commitment to an open, democratic, international system, the UK will stand together with the allies to lead the way. And I think that's perfectly acceptable. Let's
sounds like a wartime. Almost sounds like a wartime speech.
It does, doesn't it? It does. But I think it's a fantastic idea to let's get on the front foot here and and make sure that what we're developing is developed in safe and secure manner, and that we have, much the same as the Geneva Convention protects human rights, we have some sort of global convention that protects the use of AI and the development thereof, as opposed to going, no, well, we're just going to ban it because we don't like it.
Yeah. It does say in this article too, the European Union, that's not UK anymore, is already working on an artificial intelligence act, but it could take up to 2.5 years to come into effect.
Yep.
Horse bolted, anyone?
Yes.
By that point?
Yes.
Like, where's this going to be in 2.5 years? Like, the mind boggles.
Well, we can only assume that every game out there is going to be using AI completely.
Wait.
Oh, well.
I can't wait till, like, when you see someone in like an AI, oh, by the way, rendered in Unreal Engine 5, you walk up to that NPC and you can just have a conversation with them. It's going to be awesome.
My young fella does this like little sway now. Like the NPCs in whatever game he's playing at the moment do this like little sway where their hands move, and I like walk into the kitchen. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm an NPC, and I'm like, okay, good, I'm out.
It was like a few years ago with Fortnite, and all the kids were doing all the dances, Orange Justice, all the rest of them.
He still does them, and flossing and all that sort of stuff. I was like, no.
You're a boomer, Dad. You're a boomer. You'll never understand.
I am not a boomer. I am Gen X. We're far more grumpy than that.
All right. Well, I think we're about done here now. We've kind of gone off on a tangent there. As per usual, Ian, it's been a fun show, and we've seen some really cool stuff this fortnight.
We have, haven't we? It's been like what started out as last week. We were going, oh, gee, there's not much in the news this week, and we've got a heap now.
It was a light news week, but we somehow made a show.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Listen, guys, don't forget to go to iTunes and write a review for the show. That would really help us out. And you can contact the show at gcplife@casden.com.au. We do have a Twitter account for now at GCPLife. There's a website. You can just Google that, GCP Life. And don't forget, today's sponsor was Casda. At Casda, we make your Google Cloud solutions possible with a bit of GCVE thrown in there as well.
That's it.
That's about it from us for now. You got anything else to add, Ian?
Nah, enjoy yourselves. We're going to be in the Cape when we make our next one.
We will indeed, and that's going to be a whole nother thing, but we'll catch you later. Bye. La la. Oh no, brown cow.
La 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 la.
The frog out of my throat. The frog out of my throat. All right, good.